21st ranked Boise State, the Fiesta Bowl champion from a year ago, trails 45-10 at the half in Logan, Utah. Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, Jenny Dell. How surprised are you at a 45-10 score for the Aggies at the half?
I'm shocked, frankly. Now, I knew that Utah State would come into this game and play well, particularly with their defense, but I just didn't think that Boise State would melt down that much and be that careless with the football in the first half.
And what did the Broncos do to get to 21st in the country? They got takeaways, created short fields for their offense, exactly what the Aggies did to them.
Defensive coordinator Kevin Clune has had a masterful plan. He's put his playmakers in position to make plays, and those playmakers have won their one-on-one matchups. They're flying to the football. They're continuing to affect the quarterback. They're jarring the football loose, the tip drill. Every which way you could create a turnover, they've done it, and they've dominated Boise in the first half.
At halftime, 35 points off turnovers, 7 takeaways by the Aggie defense. I mean, this is what Boise State did to Utah State last year in Boise on the blue turf. Total domination in a critical Mountain West Mountain Division game. That's exactly what the Aggies are doing. College football on CBS Sports Network, presented by Geico.
I'll tell you this much, though, Carter. I think the toughest second half coaching job is going to be Matt Wells keeping his Aggie team fired up. That job's going to be tougher than Brian Harson's to get his team back in this game.
Jenny Dell spoke with Brian Harsin a moment ago.
Hey guys, I spoke with Harsin and he said no team wants to be in this situation, but I told my guys to check their attitudes and go out there and play the game of football. He said seven turnovers is absolutely unacceptable. We need to eliminate that. And you need to remember, this is the first time freshman quarterback Brett Rippon has really faced adversity, but coach said he's kept his composure, and he finished by saying, what do we need to do? Come out here and score 35.
At least. Well, that's an honest assessment from Brian Harsin. First carry of the second half, Kelsey Young, and there's Vigil and Fackrell, the main difference makers in the first half.
Kelsey Young has to stop bouncing that ball to the outside, especially if number 9's on the line of scrimmage, because he does a great job of setting that edge. And Kyler Fackrell, if you run towards him, he's going to get you on the ground.
Kelsey Young, the graduate transfer from Stanford. Blocking now is Rippon over the middle, complete. That's Spurback. Spurback's first catch, and he fumbles it. It's the 8th takeaway by Utah State. The second half begins exactly how the first half played out.
Wow. I mean, what do you say to this? When it rains, it pours. Off of play action, just hits a quick slant, beautifully thrown football. Thomas Spurback, been such a playmaker for this Boise State team. Just careless with the football, gets it punched out for the 8th turnover of the night. Tell you what, man. Jalen Davis, Marwin Evans, the cornerback and strong safety for this Utah Aggie defense. Outstanding tonight.
Jeremy McNichols, game time decision, the nation's leading touchdown scorer on the sideline all night for Boise State. And without him, the Broncos sputtered on offense. You saw that amazing note a moment ago. 8 of the last 9 Boise State possessions have resulted in turnovers.
And look at this. Remember a year ago, that game at Air Force, September 27th, early on in the year, but they had 7 turnovers in that game. That was their last conference loss. If they don't change things up here and in a hurry, if their defense doesn't start forcing turnovers, they're going to have their 2nd conference loss in as many years.
Now the silver lining on that again is after that Air Force loss, it was their 2nd of the season, dropped them to 3-2. The Broncos didn't lose the rest of the way, won the Mountain West, went to the Fiesta Bowl, won it for the 3rd time over Arizona after they looked terrible in that loss at Air Force. The Broncos look even worse tonight. There's going to be more football during this game and after, but it is a stunning result for Boise State so far tonight. Hunt dragged down on 3rd and 1. Might have to break out the thesaurus to continue to describe how surprised, shocked, stunned we are, along with the Boise State fans.
Yeah, the Boise State fans feeling quite lugubrious at the moment. What?
Maybe the word of the year in college football. That was literally a high five.
Did that go out on air? Did they hear us high five on air? Noodler.
Dalton hits it at the 36. Shane Williams-Rhodes calls for the fair catch. It'll bounce inside the 10, and Utah State downs it inside the 5. All Aggies tonight in Logan, 45-10.
College football on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. By Nissan, innovation that excites. And by Conoco, because your car knows.
Utah State leads 45-10 in this Mountain West Conference Mountain Division matchup. They were together in the WAC for a while. Not always in the same conference, but the last win for Utah State over Boise State, John L. Smith's Aggies, led by quarterback Matt Salk, who had the game-winning touchdown pass with just over a minute remaining to defeat Houston Nuts. Boise State Broncos 24-20 back in 1997. Houston is with us tonight in New York.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Can't let them beat you like that, man.
Is that your Houston Nut?
That's my Houston Nut impersonation.
It's got it in the sentence with now.
Come on, man. Huh? Boise's got to try and find some sort of rhythm. Just move the chains. Man.
Flag down after the carry by Young. Vigil there on the stop.
He scrapes down the line of scrimmage so well. Anticipates incredibly well.
Personal foul, hands to the face. Defense, number 56. 15 yards added to the end of the run. First down.
Okay, now, you're Utah State. You got to be careful. We talked about penalties earlier. They had 6 in the first half. That penalty was
Start the game clock.
Because it just extended this drive and gives Boise a fresh set of downs. That's very careless.
Masatoto Schuster, playing for the injured David Mawala, called for that one. That pass caught by the dragging tight end Holden Huff. Marwin Evans, who had the 90-yard pick 6, makes the stop.
In short, Utah State's playing man coverage across the board, and Boise State's receivers can't beat it. Even when they catch a football, they're immediately brought to the ground or the ball gets punched out for a turnover. Here's some edge pressure.
Off play action, ripping over the middle, juggled. Williams-Rhodes incomplete.
That ball was behind Williams-Rhodes. There was some pressure off that outside edge. That time Kelsey Young did a nice job of picking up the corner blitz off the slot. But you have to wonder if Rippin's starting to feel that heat. That's affecting his location because that ball was behind a wide open Shane Williams-Rhodes.
Pressure coming. Picked up. Rippin delivers downfield. Williams-Rhodes can't haul it in. Lays out. It's intercepted again. They're calling it incomplete. Calling it incomplete off the hands of Williams-Rhodes. And a flag down.
Got to catch that.
Holding, offense, number 84. The penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
Missed opportunities. It's going to be on Jake Hardy.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass.
Just takes a poor angle, doesn't cut the angle, keep his shoulders square. Then Shane Williams-Rhodes finally gets that separation we talked about him missing, but just simply can't hold on to the football.
That barely touched the turf.
Barely. Hope your ribs are all right. I was punching you because I thought it was a turnover.
Fielded at the 25, Rodriguez. Andrew Rodriguez is going to reverse field. Cut it back to the 35. Flag is down. Rodriguez is down at the 43.
A play like that changes direction, you have to wonder if it's a block in the back. Be another costly penalty that will cost them field position. This is that coaching job I talked about Matt Wells was going to have to do. When you got a big lead on a good team, it's easy to let your foot off the gas pedal.
During the return, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 12. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, timeout.
Already 2 second-half penalties on the Aggies, but they're up big. Tomorrow, the Home Depot SEC on CBS brings on the best game from the best conference as Jake Coker and the Tide roll against Kyle Allen and the unbeaten Aggies. The hoopla begins with Auto Trader College Football Today. Vern, Gary, and Allie have Alabama at 9th-ranked Texas A&M tomorrow. The Home Depot SEC on CBS.
It's been those hurry-up spread offenses that have been a thorn in the side of Alabama, and I think there's a really good matchup to watch with Myles Garrett and Deshaun Hall, those good defensive ends that can rush the passer so well. Alabama's offensive line has played well, but when they have struggled at times in pass protection, that should be a heck of a ball game.
And Myers on the roll on 1st and 10. Flings incomplete. Flag down. Aaron Logan, Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, Ginny Dell, producer Scott Brandwine, director Matt Plundo.
Personal foul, hands to the face, defense number 40. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, Armand Nance. Let's take a look at Armand Nance right there. All up in his grill.
Third time we've seen defensive hands to the face in the game.
Yeah, both of these units do a good job using their hands, but just allowing them to slide up the pads too high. Great stop there.
Mays takes it on 1st down. Tyler Horn leads the way.
Boise has to start somewhere. When you're behind this much in a ball game, first of all, you're playing for pride, and you just got to execute. You have to do your job. You don't have to try to do more than your coach should do. Just do your job. If they had done that, they wouldn't be in the situation that they're in. This defense is a pretty good defense. They need to force some turnovers, get some takeaways to get the ball back.
Myers going to hand off again. That's Hunter Sharp, a wide receiver who takes it on the handoff. Gets out of bounds at the 40 to make it 3rd down, about 8.
We talked about Hunter Sharp being used in the backfield because of his speed, getting to the boundary and changing the angles. Darian Thompson was there at that time and just simply got outrun. They were able to break contain on that defense and get to the outside and pick up a couple yards. But here's a 3rd down opportunity. If you're Boise, you've got to find a way to get this ball back and get a stop here.
With all the takeaways by Utah State, kind of lose sight of the fact that it's the Broncos who lead the nation with 13 interceptions. 3rd down, Correa sacks Ken Myers. Kamale Correa, the junior from Honolulu's St. Louis school, 4th sack. Now has one in back-to-back weeks.
Just great job running some stunts up in front. A stunt is an exchange of responsibility by the defensive linemen where they crisscross. And you get separation in the shoulder pad levels on different levels. It just kind of collapses in on you. That's the aggression that Boise State needed to have in the first half. But to their credit, the defense just won their matchup. Now it's the offense's job for the Broncos to bring something to the table.
Dalton hits it at the 20. Shane Williams-Rhodes, fair catch, backs all the way up inside the 25. This week's Conoco Scholar Athlete of the Week is Thomas Spurbeck. Last season, academic All-Mountain West, been terrific on the football field for the Broncos, including Fiesta Bowl offensive MVP. Last week, 178 receiving yards. Tonight, has only one catch, gained 38 yards, and then fumbled.
He's really kind of become the big play receiver and a vertical threat. He was more of a slot receiver, but since Brett Rippon became under center, he's had catches of 46, 51, 53, 64, and including an 85-yard touchdown a week ago. They need to get him the football vertically.
Shane Williams-Rhodes on the edge, shaking his way across the 30. Rockamore makes the stop. John Trell Rockamore.
Rockamore is a good player. Had a really nice tackle last week early on in that ball game. Came from about 18 yards deep to get a tackle for loss, filling the alley on a run.
Play action. Shane Williams-Rhodes drops it. That's an incomplete pass. Ran the same play to the opposite side.
Yeah, they're just being careless with the football. That's the second drop I've seen from Shane Williams-Rhodes in this second half. I mean, Rippon's doing what he can to get him the ball. The location wasn't absolutely perfect, but certainly a catchable football. Boise State's just not making the plays when it has the opportunities.
On 3rd and 3, Rippon rolling away from the pressure, trying to escape it, driven down by Vigil for a huge sack on 3rd down. Nick Vigil, the junior from Plain City, Utah, with another big sack.
Well, you're going to see here there's going to be pressure. Rippon can step up in the pocket. He bails. He's hearing ghosts, man. He's hearing footsteps. That pressure's gotten to him. He could have hung in that pocket a little bit more, but because he's been harassed and under so much duress tonight, he bails out of the pocket, bails right, and the protection eventually breaks down, and once again, Utah State gets home.
Midway through the 3rd, Whale punting to Hunter Sharp. Fair catch, grabs it at the 41. Utah State in control. Can the Aggies close out a huge win over the Broncos? Let's take a look at this week's one-of-a-kind tradition brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Boise State winning Fiesta Bowls has become a tradition. Last year was over Arizona. You go back to 2010 against Andy Dalton and TCU. Chris Peterson celebrates, and then it all began. The Statue of Liberty 2007, called by Brian Harsin with a proposal afterwards. And Boise State coming into tonight, you think about the group of 5 contenders to go to a New Year's Six bowl. Boise State was at the top of that list. My question, Aaron, is if Utah State finishes this one off and goes on a run, can the Aggies crack that New Year's Six bowl?
It's going to be hard. There's going to need to be some carnage on that list that we just saw there. They have some impressive losses. They lost to Utah by 10. An in-state rival, that's got to count for something.
Myers' deep shot just misses Hunter Sharp. Jonathan Moxie in coverage.
And their other losses to a Pac-12 school as well with Washington. That one by a few more points. Maybe Washington goes on a run and beat USC. If they can continue to do well, that might be a much better looking loss. But I think in today's day and age, Carter, to be a group of 5 team, you have to lose early with maybe one loss or go undefeated to even have a shot.
Utah State, 3rd year in the Mountain West Conference. Myers is drilled on 2nd down. Miles and Martirano there on the stop. So here's the look at the schedule for Utah State. Again, the only 2 losses were at Pac-12 schools, including
for an injured player.
Now number 5 Utah, and then the loss at Washington. So still have 3 road games left, including Air Force, who's undefeated in conference. But the Aggies have a potential for a run, and that BYU game at the end of the year on CBS Sports Network out of conference.
Yeah, looking at that schedule moving forward, I would imagine that Utah State would be favored in every game, depending on what BYU does down the stretch. That's another in-state rivalry. Utah State, man, since the 2nd week of the season, they just continue to improve.
It's Jabril Frazier who's down on the play for Boise State, number 18.
Redshirt freshman out of LA. Bourbon Day High School. Plays that stud position. 6'4", 232 pounds. Backs up Kamale Correa, so it's the type of player that they like to play on both levels, with his hand down on the ground, standing up on the end the line of scrimmage, and even ask those guys to cover out in the flat sometimes. He's shaking up.
3rd and 10 for Ken Myers, the sophomore quarterback. He's taken over Utah State for the 2nd straight season after an injury to Chucky Keaton.
Lateral.
It was Hunter Sharp on the lateral, brought down by Sam McCaskill. It's going to be 4th down for the Aggies again. So the Aggies have now gone 3 straight 3-and-outs on their only 3 possessions of the second half. In fact, they've gained all of 4 yards in this second half.
They're dialed it back a little bit. They're not putting the ball in the air and pushing it downfield like they have, nor should they. They're kind of relying on their defense a little bit, and that's kind of a fine line to walk. You don't want to be too conservative, but you also can't afford to turn the football over and give Boise a spark to get back in this game.
Well, relying on the defense is what the Aggies have done all year, and certainly all night.
Kevin Clune, man, I'm telling you what, getting ready for this game, it was some next level blitzes off the edge. Does a really nice job of disguising the coverages, puts a lot of pressure on the offensive line. They don't know where the heat's coming from. It's hard for them to be able to identify. And man, towards the end, Rippon just feeling the pressure and the heat, getting a little bit of happy feet inside that pocket. And I tell you what, that man's not going to get a game ball at the end of this one. I don't know what you could do to get one.
I got a couple other nominees.
Yeah.
Rippon, incomplete.
Tell you what, one of those is Kent Myers and what he's done throwing the football. He early on in this half, he threw some BBs, and to Utah State's credit, they were aggressive when they got those turnovers in the red zone. They wanted touchdowns, and they got them.
Brett Rippon and the Broncos on 2nd and 10. To the sideline, complete to Jake Rowe. How about Nick Vigil and Kyler Fackrell have combined 23 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. With outside linebacker Fackrell, inside linebacker Vigil.
Yeah, Vigil's brother, next level player. Looks like he's going to be on to the NFL at some point as well. Kyler Fackrell kind of getting back to his old self from a year ago. These guys are impressive playmakers.
Rippon pressured again on 3rd down. This time delivers. Shane Williams-Rhodes converts on 3rd down across the 40.
Must have been a busted coverage that time. Shane Williams-Rhodes was completely wide open. That was a nice 1st down and pickup. And to Rippon's credit, he stood in the pocket and delivered a completed pass.
Broncos go hurry up. Young bounces outside. Dropped after a 3-yard gain. Tyler Floyd, a senior from Orlando, on the stop.
Tell you what, these safeties, as we see, keep an eye right here in the way he comes down and fills this alley. This ball's bouncing to the outside. He's a contained player. Just does a nice job of coming down and setting that edge.
Rippon deep shot. Spurbeck has it. There's a flag down. 2nd catch of the night for Spurbeck. That's on Jalen Davis, if it stands.
Bodie, defense number 17. The penalty is declined. Result of the play, 1st down.
Carter, the way to beat man coverage is to isolate or cross. This time, they're going to run a fake bubble screen. Spurbeck's going to sugar it a little bit like he's going to block, and then he takes off. Just a beautifully designed play, pitch and catch for the 1st down.
Broncos driving for the first time in the half. Rippon looking for Spurbeck again. Off his hands, incomplete.
If you're Brett Rippon, you can't throw a more beautiful ball any better located than that last pass. On the money. Spurbeck's got to catch it.
Play before, 26-yarder to Spurbeck. The first play for the Broncos, 20-plus tonight. For a team that has been explosive, especially last week against Colorado State. Rip and play action, zips it incomplete.
Yeah, the Utah State defense in terms of giving up big plays, extremely good. Only 14 so far given up this year. They lead the Mountain West Conference by limiting those explosive plays. Just yet another reason why they're one of the best defenses in the country. They make you earn it.
On 3rd and 10, Rippon delivers. That's Spurbeck. Keeps his feet, takes it all the way inside the 2-yard line before Jalen Davis. And that's now 29 yards as Rippon and Spurbeck back to their rhythm.
Yeah, that time they got a little too aggressive. Spurbeck finds the hole in the defense, and Marwin Evans, one of the only mistakes he's made all night. It was a big one, putting the ball inside the 5.
1st and goal, Broncos. Young hit in the backfield, pushes ahead, back to the original line of scrimmage.
Penetration causes lost yardage plays on the run. Nick Vigil unblocked off that outside edge. Boise's got to do something to account for that. They've got a ton of tight ends on this team. They need to get in their jumbo packages, try to create some bigger surfaces to block to be able to create some running room.
Second red zone trip. Demas is the back. Takes the toss. Devin Demas finds the end zone. Touchdown, Boise State.
Devin Demas on the touchdown run.
Second touchdown of the year for the junior from Houston, Devin Demas.
Great job by Demas finding the end zone. That time Boise State up front did a really nice job of pinning the defense, getting outside, breaking that contain, getting into the end zone. Comeback has started, Carter.
We called it first. Rossa boots it through. There's a long way to go for Boise State, but Devin Demas does his part into the end zone. 45-17 now, Aggies on the Broncos after that 10-play touchdown drive that ends in Devin Demas's second rushing touchdown of the year.
Well, we talked about those guys need to make plays. Here's Kyler Fackrell peeking into the backfield. He's going to allow himself to get hooked this time by Jake Hardy. That's the key block on this play to be able to get to the outside edge. Up until that last play, Utah State had done a masterful job of widening and corralling and forcing everything back inside. But the good block out there on the perimeter allowed for the easy walk in for the score. I like that vision cone, Carter.
It was an outstanding vision cone.
Maybe my best of the year.
Best of the night for sure. That'll be a touchback after the bobble in the end zone. Things starting to get windy here in Logan, Utah tonight. For more, let's send it down to Jenny Dell.
Hey guys, a quick update on Boise State freshman defensive end Jabril Frazier. It looks to be a left hand or wrist injury. The trainers brought him over to the sideline and it looked like they were testing his strength in that left hand. He just walked off the field a few minutes ago. I'll update you when I hear more.
Thank you, Jenny. So Frazier out for now for Boise State. Kamale Correa back in there at defensive end. And there's a new quarterback for Utah State. Damian Hobbs is going to take over. The sophomore from Cedar Hill, Texas, who has attempted only 2 passes this year. So Hobbs in there on a relief of Ken Myers. And Hobbs, redshirted a year at Oregon, runs the zone read to the 32.
And he is a runner. That's the thing that he does the best, and they're going to pull him out and put Kent Myers back in there. But he's a nice change of pace, and with all the injuries that they've had at quarterback, I'm surprised we haven't seen a little bit more of him tonight. But the coaches have done a really nice job of being able to roll him in the the unlikely event that Kent Myers gets hurt, Damian Hobbs would have some nice real reps underneath his belt.
Aggies have had success bringing quarterbacks from Texas. Chucky Keaton, Ken Myers is from Rowlett, Damian Hobbs is from Cedar Hill, Texas. Look at that play. Mays breaks free. Mays dragging the Boise State defense with him to the 20. A 48-yard gain on the run from Devontae Mays.
I just wonder if Boise State was lined up wrong, because there was such a big hole on the backside. Now, big runs come on the cutback. He's going to come here and then bend it back as these guys come upfield. There's a huge running lane right inside there. There's nobody home. The safeties take poor angles. And once again, it's another big play by Utah State on the ground.
Biggest by far of the second half. Screen to the outside. That's caught by Andrew Rodriguez, who goes spinning inside the 10. The junior from Allen, Texas, transfer from Houston.
What allowed that play to be successful is Kent Myers threw it immediately. He threw it on time, which allowed the receiver to be able to get with it and run with it after the catch. Bam, sets up, delivers it on time, perfect location. Another great block by Hunter Sharp out there on the perimeter, and it's another first down for this Aggie offense. Much more aggressive, Carter, on this drive than they've been at any time in this second half.
First and goal, Damian Hobbs back in. Perfect in the red zone tonight. 3 for 3 touchdowns. Hobbs pulls it on the zone read again. Damian Hobbs all the way inside the 1.
He wanted that touchdown, buddy. He was fighting hard for it.
Oh, now Hobbs is going to check right back out for Myers.
Oh, man, Hobbs doing all the hard work down there. Great blocks at the point of attack. Just some good hard running down there. Boise State's defensive line not getting off their blocks. They got to be able to shock and shed those guys and cancel those gaps. Utah State's offensive line doing a really nice job here.
Nearing the end of the third quarter. Handoff, touchdown, Devontae Mays. As soon as Boise State finds the end zone, to think about making it interesting, the Aggies respond. Devontae Mays touchdown, 51-17.
That all got set up by running the football on the ground. Just great blocking up front at the point of attack. Crushing the right side of that offensive line, just collapsing that defense of Boise State. And I'm going to say this, something I haven't said in a long time. It looked like Boise State's defense laid down on that last series.
Mays had only 9 rushing yards prior to that drive. He takes it 50 combined. A 48-yard run, setting up the 2-yard touchdown. Devontae Mays, 4th rushing touchdown of the year. In fact, his 4th in the last 2 weeks. Broncos have been exceptional all across the board. Hadn't allowed a second half point in the previous 4 games, but Utah State has another feather in the cap. What they've been able to do tonight against Boise State. Guy brought a plunger to the football game.
Well, I'll tell you what. I want to tell you where my mind just went with that.
I want to keep working with you.
Yep. I might have just saved my job.
Another touchback. Broncos will get it at the 25. College football action tomorrow. Full slate of games, including another Mountain West showdown. Air Force, who was undefeated in the Mountain Division at Colorado State, and struggling UCF at Temple, who is having a terrific year. That's presented by Geico, 7:30 Eastern. Part of that triple-header tomorrow, CBS Sports Network. So, Air Force undefeated still in the Mountain. Boise State, Utah State enter the night both undefeated. And you think what happened to Utah State a couple of years ago. They lost this game. Rippon goes deep. Spurbeck hauls in a terrific grab inside the 40.
This is the Boise State offense that we've known to love. It's just one-on-one coverage. He just beats the jam and the press and gets separations, able to accelerate to the football. That's something that they've struggled to do, but that's just beating one-on-one press man coverage on the perimeter.
One more play in the third quarter. It's a run to take it to the 35. Headed to the fourth quarter, 52-17. Utah State on Boise State. You're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, presented by Geico.